Hi, I'm Ryan from Monster Logo Studios. I'm currently without two of my favorite toys. First, they pulled my number for the Deluge OLED retrofit, and then I also had a warranty repair for one of the buttons on my Electron Digitact. Now, both of these are 5-year-old devices that continue to receive strong support from their respective manufacturers. Synthstrom Audible recently announced the OLED upgrade to their Deluge and has made it available as a hardware upgrade for existing owners, which is unheard of. Electron recently released a suite of software upgrades that most notably added a song mode to some of their legacy devices, the Digitone and Digitact. Now, you might be able to persuade me that these are uniquely charitable manufacturers, and based on my recent experiences with both, there's definitely an argument there. But I actually think there's going to be a greater industry shift toward long-term support as a mitigation strategy against the current chip shortage and other supply chain woes. The relatively low processing demand of audio devices has allowed for much more aggressive product life cycles in the past. These manufacturers can take similar PCB layouts and quickly turn out a broad spectrum of products with only subtle differences in flavor, and then 1 year later announce an incremental upgrade with a few new features for a fully refreshed product line. They can keep the same form factor to limit impacts to tooling and manufacturing, resulting in a steady revenue with a high return on minimal indirect spend. This sounds unappealing, and when you step away from the marketing and look at it all in writing, the cash grab strategy is all too obvious. But it also works. Music is such a personal endeavor, and there's such a wide range of interests and pursuits with nuanced differences that, from a consumer perspective, this means there's truly something for everyone. The volume of 303 clones has become a meme, but it also means you can find 1 or 10 to meet your specific need. Or it did, while just-in-time manufacturing was a viable strategy. The economic disruption that occurred over the past 2 years has altered that formula and resulted in significant price hikes over the past year for both existing hardware and the few pieces of new gear that are being announced. Unfortunately, I don't think this trend is going to reverse course anytime soon, but it's not all bad news. The increase in product lifecycle duration requires a change in brand strategy. We've already talked about how cluttered the market is, but in the days of old, this meant fighting for your attention with new products. Now, I'm going to pull out my crystal ball for this next bit, so take what I say with a healthy dose of skepticism. But I predict the gap in new product delivery is going to be filled with increased product support and likely at a cost. I'm predicting we'll see software updates with more new features, not just minor dot builds with bug fixes, and a lot more preset or sample packs, likely with some associated cost. This is the only way these companies will be able to continue paying for their development teams, especially in the current labor market. We may even start to see more ported software, like desktop or mobile virtual editions of our favorite hardware devices. And I actually don't think this is the worst case outcome. I'd much rather see bigger leaps between hardware iterations rather than just another 808 clone. And I don't mind paying a little more for enhanced functionality on my current devices. With the size of my growing collection and the limited extracurricular time I have to spend with it, I actually have the time to digest a few new hotkey commands or learn a few menu options instead of an entirely new button layout that, in the end, just produces the same exact sounds as everything else. There's also the benefit of reduced waste, and the increased competition over a smaller quantity of end-user purchases could improve variability between devices as these brands try to differentiate themselves from one another to secure their marketplace niches. On the downside, we could potentially lose some of our favorite brands to acquisition or bankruptcy, particularly those more vulnerable boutique manufacturers. In the end, those of us without sponsorships or deep pockets are going to have to continue doing more with less. As a former OP1 owner, for example, I would love a chance to play with the new OP1 Field. But there's a reason I sold the first one, and it's not worth the $2,000 to find out if the new one is any better. I know it seems and is materialistic to be discussing music gear in light of the more serious circumstances some are facing as economic underperformance continues to affect everyone, but there's a mental health angle to this that is often overlooked. I can't speak for everyone, but I have to create. Even if what comes out isn't good by commercial standards, it's good for me, and it's a healthy coping mechanism that allows us to get through difficult times, whether they be personal or global in scale. I hope you enjoyed this video. While I've got a few things out for repair, I plan to get back to my Sunday Jam series, in addition to filming some DAW-centric videos to share mixing and mastering tips, and talk about some of my favorite plugins. Again, I'm Ryan from Monster Logo Studios. Talk to you soon.